I heard we ran out of coffee. Is this true? Almost out of coffee. Well, this is a hopefully somebody had the observability on and an alert was triggered, creating a Jira ticket somewhere that nobody looked at. No, we make sure that the coffee comes. Quick announcement: we found a case for a phone. I think it was an iPhone. In case you lost a case, like a casing around the phone. I'm not sure where we find individual cases, but it's in the lost and found. It's up in the wardrobe. And I still want to say we still have the Notizblock here, so the notebook that somebody left yesterday. In case you were sitting in the last session somewhere over there and you lost or you left your Notizblock, your notebook, then it's down here as well. Also a reminder, at 2:15, I know I said this before, but maybe you haven't heard me because you were in a different room. At 2:15 in this room, we are having a change in session. Instead of the platform engineering talk around Kubernetes operators, we now have a session on Kate's GPT. The reason why we do this because the speaker couldn't make it today, so we swapped or we filled in with a new session. The rest stays all the same. It's just that the session at 2:15 in this hall here will be different. But now, grüß euch. Servus die Wahlen, genau. Daniel und Markus from RBI, Raiffeisen Bank International. You guys are also a sponsor, a silver sponsor. Thanks for giving back to the community.
Welcome.
Yeah. So, folks, if you haven't talked to them, check it out. They're very humble. They just want to give back to the community. Obviously, they also hire. But thanks for giving back to the community. We want to make sure that Austria, we are collaborating on everything around cloud native and Kubernetes. Now, the next thing, the talk is GitOps in a federated and regulated environment at RBI. What's really good, we have a second line here, leveraging GitHub, OKD, Argo, Caverno, and StackRox. One of the feedbacks that we have heard from you and from others, we will, in the next year, add a little bit more description to the sessions, because I guess Argo and Caverno, this will spur the interest. I will get off stage in a second. Just two more things. You told me yesterday the core thing that you will be talking about is the platform that you've built over the last year, Cortex, where initially you focused around getting security into your pipelines. Right? And the next big thing, just as we heard from ING before, is around pipeline observability, making it more transparent.
No surprise.
Yeah, no surprise. All right, with this, hopefully this is what you are up for. And big round of applause, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. So welcome to our talk about GitOps in a federated and regulated environment. My name is Daniel Kopeinig. I'm a platform engineer and product owner of our inner source platform called Cortex. Almost a decade at RBI, mainly got the focus on the last years on Kubernetes and cloud infrastructure.
Hi, my name is Markus. I'm a little bit a dinosaur in RBI, so do not spare me to show the real numbers here. And my passion is about event streaming and enabling teams to leverage this technology. But today it's about Kubernetes, so I'm mainly Daniel's PowerPoint clickbot today.
So let me briefly introduce who is RBI. Raiffeisen Bank International is one of the leading corporate and investment banks in Central and Eastern Europe, where our RBI head office here in Vienna, mainly focusing on large international customers next to its steering function, and our subsidiary banks in CE mainly focusing on retail corporate business with quite a big branch-based network. We have, out of our history, a quite heterogeneous landscape with more than 1,000 applications running on different data centers, cloud providers on-premise and on cloud, as you can imagine. And maybe also one thing to share is our mission 2025 is to becoming a full IT-centric bank, so becoming an adaptive, innovative organization, becoming best in security in our domains, but also leveraging latest technologies. As we are a bank, you can imagine there are a lot of regulations we need to fulfill. So we get a lot of guidelines from our regulators like European central banks or even local ones like FMA here in Austria. But on the other hand, one of our main assets as a bank is, of course, the trust we gain from our customers. And we need to, let's say, want and need to protect the money, the assets from our customers in our premises, but also within our systems by securing them as best as we can. Here on the slides, you see just a few of those requirements a business application needs to fulfill in order to be ready to go live. But it's a quite huge, complex topic, as you see. Therefore, in our talk, we are just focusing on a few of them. So, for example, a 4IS code review needs to be done. All our runtime platforms needs to be CIS level 1 and 2 compliant. We need a release approval from our product owner or business owner, so a 6IS review, if you will. A runtime vulnerability scanning needs to be in place, so not only on the CI side, but also at runtime. Services need to be fully isolated, network-wise, but also organizational-wise. We need full audit-proof pipeline, resource management, etc. To make this all possible, it probably takes a business team more than 1 year to become really production ready, right? This is the same what we saw around 3 years ago, and therefore we started with our inner source platform, which we call internally Cortex. So not to be misunderstood with the CNCF Cortex here, it's our internal name, RBI Cortex. It's an infrastructure agnostic container runtime platform based on OKD. Infrastructure agnostic because we need to run and want to run it on multiple data centers, right? The main purpose is basically to decouple the applications from the underlying infrastructure. So it shouldn't matter for the applications in which data center, which infrastructure they are running, they shouldn't even know about it. This is the main idea. Second, engineering, we want to take a lot of burden from the engineers, so implementing the full security compliance already on a platform level. So I think from the previous talk we understood from ING, we are targeting a similar direction here, right? We all have to deal with the same requirements, I guess, in this domain, and this was the idea also here. On the picture you see, maybe worth to share why OKD. OKD/OpenShift has a very strong security footprint. It's a very mature distribution, so out of our experience already covers around 80% of the CIS level 1 and 2 standards. And we have enhanced it with a lot of core stacks. So our installer, which makes us ready to install such a cluster within about 2 hours, it's an Ansible Terraform combination to install the things. We have, of course, some infrastructure tooling like Terraform operator and an external DNS to steer the underlying infrastructure. Logging, monitoring, alerting, we basically have outside of our stack. If you take a look at the top, here is the full security stack. So we're having StackRox as a vulnerability scanning engine, Caverno as a policy engine, which we both will see later in the demo, running on every cluster. We have also Istio, Service Mesh for authentication, authorization, security of microservices, Chiali Jaeger for visibility and tracing, of course, Cert Manager, as the name says, and Sealed Secrets for the credential management. And our latest enhancement was here to adding a test tube for automating testing, for use cases, but also for our core stuff. And the heart of all of it is the whole Argo framework, which we are leveraging. So we are using Argo CD for the deployment part, Argo events, workflows, notifications, of course, for the whole CI, but also pipeline orchestration. We also see some talks already yesterday about this one. So we're also going here in the similar direction to have the full orchestrating with leveraging the benefits of the full Argo framework. The whole platform is basically an inner source platform. So we are not running it once. We are running it in the full community. So there are about 18 engineers using them on a daily basis. There are about 20 clusters we have running across, in production ready, across different infrastructures. And to scale this, basically, it was only possible with a decentral app catalog concept. So why decentral? Because each of our clusters is fully air-gapped, so QPPI server is not exposed. Every Argo CD and so on is running on every cluster, so we are using pool-based principles here. And therefore, each cluster basically has its own so-called app catalog repository where it's listening on. In this app catalog repository, we are using Argo CD with the app of apps pattern, right? Application controller to build up the final Argo CD applications. So we can say in each app catalog, every application which is running on the target cluster is defined and fully transparent. We distinguish here between 4 types. So it's about our core services, our community services, the business services here called environment, and our CI environments. The core and community services are mainly cluster-wide services. So what is the speciality here? We're having the manifests file lying in a separate repository like StackRox or Caverno, and enhancing it or need to enhance it with our secrets, with our parameters fitting for that cluster, which we are storing here in this second repository, the so-called app values repository. Compared to our business applications, which are where we're targeting to their manifest repositories here on the left, where you usually have the classical manifest and values next to each other in the same repository. And also the application repository usually is a best practice to have them split it where the code lies, and manifest points to using the build image out of it, right? Worth to share here is we support both Helm and Customize, right? So we in Austria, we could not decide which is the better one, so we were just supporting both. And, but for some reasons as well, of course. And let's have a look how such an onboarding looks like on the app catalog. It's quite easy. So with the application controller, it's just 5 lines of code. You define the Argo CD app project, name, namespace, manifest, repo OL, of course, and the target revision. And out of that one, putting that to the right folder, to the right stage folder or environment folder, we are onboarding the application or letting app controller building the Argo CD application. And this flexible environment concept actually also allows us to have flexible parameterization on environment basis, cluster basis, and infrastructure basis. So we are overlaying with Customize, but also with Helm, parameterization on environment, cluster, infrastructure level, and or even on stage level as you will. So it's not necessary to duplicate all parameters. This is quite unique of this app catalog concept. And how this whole onboarding story and deployment and promoting look like is what Markus will now show us.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. So just one short disclaimer. We want to show really much content, so we needed to speed up the second half of the demo, so we pre-recorded it. So let's see if everything works out, but it's easier when you have the recorded demo. So yeah, I'm now having the hat on of a business team, right? I want to deploy or onboard my application. I prepared a nice, it didn't work out, see? I prepared a manifest repo where I put my manifests in. So for KCD, we prepared a simple service based on Nginx. So manifests, deployment service, and so on. And now the only thing we need to do, as Daniel mentioned already, to onboard this is going to the app catalog of the cluster, of our target cluster, picking up an environment folder and dropping the files there. So we need to be audit proof, we mentioned that, so everything is happening via pull requests. So I prepared a pull request with the 5 lines of YAML Daniel showed. And yeah, because I prepared the pull request, I'm not able to merge directly, but Daniel in the background approved it. Cool. Click, click, click. So now we can merge it. And now the actual magic is happening. So this is in real time, just to make this clear. So we got the file in the app catalog. Now Argo AppSet controller picks it up, creates the Argo CD app. So let's check in Argo CD in our app catalog. And here we see the different app sets for our different environments we mentioned, and also already the dev environment, where we put our folder has the KCD application rendered. So let's see, and yeah, it's really deploying. So cool, it took us not even 2 minutes to onboard and deploy the application. So everything is fine. No, it's not, because we are a bank and life is not so easy. So we've seen in the event some red stuff happening there. So this is now generated by our policy engine Caverno. So Caverno has mainly two different modes: an audit mode, where you get the policy violations via Kubernetes events, so the pod still spins up, or you enforce the policy. That would mean you're not even allowed to run the pod on the cluster. So this is our production setup. Caverno can also mutate and generate resources for you. But the really cool thing is that Caverno and the community already gives you a lot of Kubernetes best practice policies out of the box. So in the end, we had really just to implement some custom RBI policies on top of it. So when we look now more closely, so we got several violations. For example, service account is using the service account token, so that's not allowed. We pull images from an untrusted source, definitely not a good idea. And we are also lacking resource definitions, so anti-pattern in the Kubernetes world, right? But still the pod is up, so let's access the service and see what Nginx serves us. But yeah, you guessed it. Also does not work. We did not define any network policies for this service, and yeah, that's not allowed. So we need to fix this immediately, I think. So, and also there we prepared something for you, like the cooks, right, in the shows. So there's a pull request prepared by Daniel, and let's check what we did here. So yeah, first of all, we fixed the service account. We integrated the custom service account. We now pull from a trusted image source, our own artifact repository. We, of course, defined for the containers resource, requests, and limits. Yeah, here you see the service account auto mount. We're not allowed to interact with Kubernetes API for this service. And last but not least, the missing network policy to allow the ingress. So let's merge the pull request. So until now, everything is in real time. So when it's recorded, it's even a little bit too slow, but yeah, it takes a time. And now you know it, what Argo does. It refreshes the service and immediately redeploys the pod. And when we now look at the pod again, the pod details, the Kubernetes events, we are fairly happy because everything is green. No more violations. And hopefully now, because also the network policy is in place, we can access our container. And yeah, we have a nice web page served.
We're not
so
front-end developers, so sorry for that not nicely rendered.
Cool, so what is the next step? So now everything is now synced and healthy in Argo CD. And what this did now, it triggered other Argo notifications, an event to Argo events, and triggered the so-called promotion workflow. So a fairly complex workflow that now checks if we can promote to the next stage. In this case, we decided to go for a Jira promotion approval. So we need a Jira ticket to be in a done state until promotion is allowed. So therefore, we registered a Argo cron workflow that now checks every 5 minutes this Jira ticket, and this is now the speed up I was talking about. So 5 minutes later, this cron workflow runs again, checks the ticket, and discovers, hey, business still didn't approve it. They are always cautious, so this deploy fast and in quick succession. Is this a real thing? Yeah, it is. So yeah, it's not done, so we cannot promote. We need the approval. So let's go another 5 minutes later. Now the business owner approved the ticket. It's in done state, and for the next run, the pipeline immediately will pick up the ticket change and now does additional things. So we will see them.
Maybe
also
we have to share in the meantime how do we link the deployment to the Jira ticket. So we require that every commit contains the Jira ticket number as a prefix or as a feature branch, right? And we then basically, between the delivery, drill through all commits, which is part of this package, right? And check all of those Jira tickets separately. Are all of them in done state? Because we do not want to go into production if just one little feature was not approved, right, or tested or whatever. If everything is done, this is what happens right now.
Exactly. So we run our custom integration test as part of the workflow. We patch now in the end the app catalog of the next stage. So this is even now another cluster in a production-like environment. So we would call it pre-production stage. And yeah, when we check the commits in this app catalog, we see that the Cortex bot updated the SHA. And that means that also Argo CD on this cluster, so as mentioned, we have Argo CD running on every cluster, already directly started to redeploy the service. This time it's configured as a pre-prod, so we configured it to run in our Istio service mesh, so still sidecars. Let's see if we can get rid of them soon. And yeah, if we check now again the ingress of the container, we are even authorized and authenticated. So let's log in. And yeah, this is the thing we want to see. So now it's time for the release party. We think so. So beer's cool. But now we are a bank and life is not so easy again. So everything was fine during build time, but we got now some Teams notifications that our services we deployed in dev and in pre-prod have critical CVEs, and we definitely not want this. So how this is done? It's done by StackRox, Kubernetes native security platform. StackRox has a very nice feature set. For example, it has this runtime and real-time vulnerability detection and scanner based on CLEAR. It has compliancy checks built in for your cluster that checks your cluster against common standard like CIS or PCI DSS. It has real-time threat detection built in based on Falco, leveraging eBPF. We heard several times about it. And last but not least, also a policy engine, but this time this engine has more runtime access to runtime information in the cluster and also to the vulnerability database. So yeah, let's check this alert we got and drill down a little bit into this image we deployed. And that really does not look very good. So risk category 2 and a lot of high CVs found. So that definitely cannot go into the production. So let's see if there are some other deployments leveraging this image on all our clusters that are connected. So yeah, we just see these two stages on two different clusters. That's good. And we can even see the component vulnerabilities of this image, so very nice. And what we also like is this overview, what is fixable, what's not, and the environment impact score, so it's really good to work with. So the dashboard, vulnerability dashboard shows the overview of the whole cluster, but as mentioned, we also can scan our OKD nodes with it, so we see the vulnerabilities on each node. So I think, Daniel, it's time for another update when I look at that screen. Yeah, to finalize on StackRox, let's have a quick look on the integrations. So there are a lot of out-of-the-box integration available for registries and for different, even external scanners. The Image signing is implemented, and the notifications you see, for example, team integration we are running on our clusters. There is a policy engine integrated, and that can really do nice things. If there is an image of the cluster that has critical findings, and these findings are fixable, please block or at least alert on it. So you can really go crazy with these policies, and also a lot of stuff coming out of the box. And the last thing we want to show you is also a nice networking stack, so network transparency. For each service, you get a really deep insight about network communication, ports, and this feature even can auto-generate these needed network policies for you. So also a nice add-on and a big help for our DevOps teams in the end. So much for the demo, and now to the lessons learned.
Let's come to the lessons learned. As you saw, it's a crazy complex topic, this whole topic about regulation policies which product teams, business teams need to fulfill. So here the message is leveraging platforms. This full platform engineering definitely makes sense. It saves a ton of effort for all those guys. They do not need to start from scratch, right? So we will save probably 1 year of implementation effort for every use case starting from scratch otherwise. Another quite interesting thing was when we integrating especially the core services, right? Oftentimes they're running with default service accounts. They are just having network policies on the ingress side, but not on the egress side. So I think there's a bit of potential also in the open source space. Of course, with the latest ones, we're already contributing there. But we learned also here on the way, right, that definitely to be fully compliant, those open source stacks also could be enhanced. Quite funny here, the third point. When we first rolled out Caverna with our custom and default policies, we immediately had to turn them off again because half of the services were not running anymore, right? We flooded them with policies like, even though they were pre-informed, right, they are missing resources, they are missing here service account, and I have an operator that needs to talk with the QPPI server and that one not, and so on and so forth. So basically take us 2 to 3 months, or the product teams 2 to 3 months until they are ready so that we can release it with enforced mode of those policies. And even though a lot of things are already automated, we are leveraging here platform. The onboarding is quite tough for the engineers, so it's still quite technical. It's something we will really need to follow up and want to follow up to basically even more abstract the whole technicality of the engineers. We also heard this already in some other talks that this is the direction to go, but we are on a good way here. And everything would not be happening without the huge, awesome support from the open source community. So we are really thankful about all of those stacks. Here are some links for you. And we also want to thank you for listening for our talk. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Very nice. Best working demo ever. How much did you practice to really get everything on point?
Yeah, it was several runs,
Yeah.
and to be honest, there were some cuts in between.
Yeah.
We tried to hide a little bit. So.
So we have our mic runner again in case you have questions. Andreas is still here. Just raise your hands. While we're waiting for the first question, I have noticed one thing. You obviously take security very serious because your Git usernames are completely, what are they, hash codes? Right? Because I saw that your usernames on Git are not your real names.
Yeah, I think
we
have
enterprise
aliases
right,
introduced
and
here,
aliases.
and
Okay,
of course,
That's
verified
certified.
commits are mandatory and all this stuff.
Okay, cool. So Andreas is already running over there.
No.
Can you turn the microphone on, the other one? Or maybe you turned it off there. Let's see. It's auto remediation. Here we go.
Hello?
Yeah, better.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. From what I got is you built kind of an Argo rollout yourself with Argo events and Argo CD, right? Why didn't you use that, or did you start the journey before Argo rollouts was like further down?
We also evaluated Argo rollouts, right? It's more but for the Canary deployment or blue-green deployment purposes, and we even tried it, but I think still it has one caveat. It's not really fitting stateful applications, which usually where we need this most, right? So at the moment, I think we are not leveraging in the business teams. However, I think it's in our plan to include it in our stack. What we, however, more have integrated is this kind of promotion. So we are promoting between environments on the same or across clusters, right? This is what we have managed with Argo events and workflows and this orchestration of pipelines, sending back events to GitHub, pull requests so that deployment is in progress, and these kind of things we all do with Argo workflows and events.
There's a question in the middle there. Yeah.
Hi there. I saw that on your Argo installation, quite unusual, not standard interface. Did you extend it, or what's about that?
We're not aware that we customized it. So you mean the Argo GUI for
Yeah,
workflows?
the Argo GUI. Yeah, on the left, I saw some icons that are not standard with Argo installation.
It was in the demo, right? So a little bit tricky to find now.
I think we're using Argo CD 2.6,
yeah,
almost the latest one, I guess.
And also the standard Argo events, Argo workflow stack, so no customization on the GUI here.
But if you want to know more, right, you guys will be down at the...
We can look into details and then
you will
the
be down
versions
at
later
the,
on.
at
Yeah,
the booth. Yeah.
exactly.
Real-time look on the cluster, if you will.
There's one thing that I wanted to mention because we talked about pipeline observability. I know a couple of years ago we talked about Captain, which is now Captain V1. One of the things we now do with Captain, because we changed this, we are extending the Kubernetes pod scheduler and actually creating open telemetry traces every time Kubernetes deploys your workloads. And so from an Argo perspective, if you use Argo, or for that matter, any type of GitHub operator, we would be able to create open telemetry traces that show everything that goes on. So that might be another discussion point because we said we wanted to follow up.
Transparency topic.
Transparency topic, yeah. Because Captain gives you traceability into any type of deployments on Kubernetes. Yeah.
Transparency is exactly my question too. Thanks for sharing this with us. How transparent is the build process or the deployment process with your development team if they fail to meet the regulations? Does their applications just not work and they do not know why, or is there some kind of feedback loop you can give them on why their application is not building correctly or not working?
To be honest, I think this is the most hard point for us at the moment to achieve, right? Exactly this transparency we want, don't need to improve for the engineer teams. This is the feedback we got. We try to, at the moment, put back a lot of information to the pull request, to GitHub actually, to closer to the engineering, right? But right now, most of those information they need to fetch out from basically...
As we've seen in Argo CD, they
CD
really log in with their ABAC permissions for their services and fetch out the events mostly and see what's going wrong. But yeah, having everything under one umbrella for transparency is our vision we have since 2 years. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
You're welcome.
All right, we are actually at the end of the time. Thank you so much. If you have any more questions, I'm pretty sure you will be down at the RBI booth. Yeah, thank you so much. Another round of applause.
Thank you.
And we